Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be applications you can apply to your life and a little more in depth about the chapter. We are in 2 Kings chapter 16, verses 1 through 20. Now, we see that Ahaz, the king of Jerusalem, is causing his son to pass through fire. This is human sacrifice. This was against the laws of God. This was a practice that the Canaanites had done in worshiping their gods. And God had forbidden this. This was an abomination. So he had told Israel to drive out all of the Canaanites so that they would not fall into their practices that would be very hazardous to their health. But we see that Israel did not drive out all of the Canaanites. And now we see this king is starting to follow the same customs as the nations around them does. Now, Israel and Syria were both under the control of Assyrian, and they had hoped to join forces and attack Judah so that they would have a stronger alliances. Only the king of Judah had went to the king of Assyria and asked him to help, which he did. And then as a result, the king of Syria was killed. Now, Ahaz had relied more on his money and his possessions more than he did the Lord. And in time, he would come to regret asking for help from the king of Assyria. Now, we also see that Ahaz had looked at the king of Assyria's altar, and he began to want his altars to look like that. He wanted to fit in with the nations around him. So he made modifications to the altars of the Lord's house. Now we read in Exodus 27, 1 through 8, God had gave strict instructions on what the altar was supposed to be look like and also how it was to be used. Now we also see that the king began to do his own burnt offering, meat offerings, peace offering, and pouring out his drink offerings. Now it also lets us know back in Exodus as well that the Levite priests were the ones that were supposed to do the sacrifice. It was supposed to be done in a proper way, not all over the place like the king of Ahaz was doing on high places and hills and under green trees. And then he was doing the altar and the sacrifices himself instead of doing it the way that the Lord had told him. Now, it can be easy for us to throw judgment and say, oh, why did that king do that? Why didn't he follow the Lord? But then we have to look at ourselves. How many times do we try to make the Bible or a message in church fit into our agenda? We don't want to have to make changes, so we try to tweak some of it and say, well, that's not really what that meant. That meant this, so that we can continue to do what we know is wrong because we don't want to make the changes. Maybe we do it because we want to fit in with people around us. We don't want people to make fun of us, so we accommodate our lifestyles to fit in with others around us. And that is a very slippery slope, and we have to be very careful about that. Because no matter how powerful or glamorous somebody looks, we should never replace them with God in our life. When we do this, we are starting to make that person our idol, our God. And that's going to put us in the hot seat with the Lord because there's only one true God out there. And we have to be careful that we don't fall into the trap of placing somebody else before the Lord. We have to make sure that we don't compromise our religion, our faith, and our morals just to fit in with other people around us. The Bible is very clear. There is only one way to have a relationship with the Lord. There's only one path to make it to heaven. And all of those paths, all of those relationships can only be made through one person, and that is through his son, Jesus Christ. May God be with you in everything in every way.